France. Is this the right way to go about taxing these companies?
I think there's good and bad elements. I mean, it's good in the sense that actually France can raise revenue in this way. The reason they can raise revenue is that French people using these services, using the Google search engine or using Uber or Airbnb, they're in France. They're not going to move because there's a tax on these companies. And so there's a real opportunity for France in this case, but actually the UK has also introduced such a tax and the European Commission has been thinking about it more generally. That can be introduced. That's the good part. The bad part is it really does nothing to fix the problem. If we think the problem is that the international tax system is really not taxing the profits of these companies well, then this doesn't address those questions. It just adds this additional element on top.
So when you look at it for that reason then, if it can work for France, why aren't we seeing more European countries doing it? The UK, it has come up with proposals in this area, Spain, Austria as well, but is it surprising that we don't have European unity on this?
Well, there are some countries which actually benefit from the existing system. So if we take the example of Ireland, for example, actually we know that quite a lot of activity takes place in Ireland and is taxed there because there's a low tax rate. So it would seem unlikely that some countries in the European Union would want to introduce this because it actually goes against the existing system. It's not something that they want to do. It's certainly not something they would want to agree on a European level. And to implement taxes like this at a European level, we need unanimity from all the member states. So we're unlikely to get that.
Do you think that this move by France might encourage more countries to step up, though, and move a bit faster to impose their own levies? Or do you think they're going to wait for the OECD,
yes,
as they say?
Well, I think the fact that the UK has done it, France has now done it, and the others that you mentioned, I think that it does make it more likely. And it is true that there are discussions going on at the OECD in Paris at the moment about trying to redesign the international tax system to try and fix some of the problems that these kind of measures are addressed to. Those discussions have been going on, well, if we take the longer view, they've been going on for many, many years, but more recently they've been really focusing on the digital problems. I think there are problems in the international tax system which are certainly apply to those digital companies, but they actually apply much more widely. So I think really what the international cooperation is required is really trying to fix the international tax system for taxing profits. It's far too easy for companies to shift their profits around between countries and make those profits appear in low tax jurisdictions.
So are you optimistic at all that that sort of agreement can be done if it's taken years and we still don't have proposals on the table?
I think it's quite interesting that actually, I think if you'd asked me a year or two ago, I would not have been optimistic. I think there has been a real change in the nature of the discussions that are taking place in Paris at the moment, in the realization that actually we need a much more fundamental change in the international tax system than our countries have been willing to think about before. And really the direction of that change is reflected in the proposals today. That is, it's actually moving the place of taxation, where we're going to tax Google's profits, to the place where they make their sales. Because those sales are kind of relatively immobile. If people want to use a Google search engine or buy something off Uber or buy a ride from Uber, they're not going to change where they are. So that really gives an opportunity for countries to actually tax the profits. So I think there is a kind of slow move towards the realization that this is quite a good way of actually taxing profits. What we're actually seeing today is very much a kind of side issue in a sense. It's a kind of move in the same direction, but it would be much better if we could actually fix the entire system.
OK, Professor Michael Devereux.